And so I'm going to turn to Steve for our opening review.
No. Not for all intents and purposes.
No.
This, I was really looking forward to this, and I was even willing to drive to Ithaca or Syracuse, which is about
Same here.
45-hour minute away, to see this. And I was actually kind of disappointed. It's a really great movie. The performances across the board are incredible. But it just kind of dragged in places. It was just a little boring at times. I mean, it was a really good movie, but I found myself at times being like, okay, come on, let's speed it up a little bit. And I can't say exactly why, because I can't pick out a specific scene that, like, this particular scene is just doesn't need to be there. But it felt like it needed to just move along a little quicker. Some of the shots are absolutely incredible. Like when he's sitting at the desk and the wallpaper behind him, Jeffrey Rush, and the wallpaper behind him, and it's just sort of that framed shot is just amazing.
Yeah.
And the interaction between Jeffrey Rush and Colin Firth is just fun. But I think anytime that it's not those two interacting, I was just sort of like, okay, I just want to get to them interacting again. Wow. So I just, like I said, it's good. It's a great movie, and it definitely deserves to be. But I think I just disconnected from it a little bit, and I can't really say why.
I guess I understand, because when you have two actors that are that good together, then when they're not on screen together, you are looking forward to the next scene.
Yeah.
With them together.
But I actually was really engaged in this movie from beginning to end. I thought the pacing was perfect, to tell you the truth. And I just thought from beginning to end it was a beautiful movie. And I was actually thinking about this. Yeah. I was actually thinking about it afterward, how there's really not it's not really a plot-driven movie so much as it is a relationship-driven movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I really appreciated that, because I was thinking about, this is basically just about these people's interactions.
It could have been plot driven. Yeah.
It could have.
It didn't. Yeah.
I mean, there is a plot. He's trying to learn how to speak better. There's also the whole thing with
leading his country.
Basically the plot is that his father, the king, is dying, and his older brother is the successor, but his older brother is
not fit to lead his country. Yeah.
Not fit to lead.
Especially in wartime.
And then eventually abdicates because he doesn't want to.
First time that happened too.
Yeah, first time in history.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that plot, but that's not really the driving force of the movie. And I was thinking about how boring a movie it could have been.
Yeah.
And yet I was totally engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually had the opposite response to you. And I know this is very specific to me because of my particular interest in the relationships and what they were going through and what he was trying to get Colin Firth's character to be able to get past, because that's something that's very personal to me, and it's a lot of, I see that in my daily interactions. So when I watched this movie, I came out of it wishing that this was like a 10-hour series, like on HBO or BBC or something.
You'd seen more details of their lives and more details of their story.
Yeah, I really, I came out of it disappointed that it wasn't more. but because it was so good, because I was so invested in the characters and because I wanted to know more, part of me wishes that this was like a 10-hour series that I could have watched somewhere and really got to know more of. Which I guess, from that perspective, that makes this a successful movie, because it puts forth really interesting characters that are real, makes me want to know more about these people in real life. And yet it wasn't, with your exception, it wasn't so long and boring that people could stay engaged. And I thought it was great. It was a great movie. It wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, because I definitely wanted more, but it wasn't a wanting more in the sense that was a fault of the movie. That's just a personal interest on my part.
They say it's good if a movie leaves you wanting more,
as
opposed to wanting less.
Yeah, that makes the movie better.
Yeah. And to take something like stuttering, which is so often just kind of used as a comical thing or pressed aside, and to really treat it with respect was really impressive. So let's talk a little bit about when actors take on a role like that and really change specifically their speech patterns. Maybe they change an accent and the difficulty of that, the successes of that, the failures of that.
That is, it's because you have to get into a completely different mindset. I mean, one of the themes of this movie is how his speech impediment comes from this deep-seated childhood trauma. And I'm not an actor. I can't even imagine like getting into that mind space where I can deliver my lines. You know what I mean? He's not just delivering lines. I mean, he's existing in that personality.
Yeah.
And that's really amazing. And he won the Golden Globe for this. And I'm hoping he wins the Oscar because he deserves it.
Yeah.
And it's not just that cliche. He changed his, he put on an accent or something.
Right.
Like he really got inside the personality of this man who has a speech impediment.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he lived out that fear. Like you could see it, and it wasn't I felt like I understood speech impediments a little bit better. Just
exactly.
Yeah. And it's not like a fear of speaking. It's a fear of being heard. It's a fear of being seen. Like he's been in hiding for a very long time because he felt like he doesn't deserve to be in the spotlight, and he didn't have anything of value. I loved that one line that he said that the king, his last words before he died, his father, right? He said Bertie has more courage than all of his brothers combined.
Right.
Which is a great thing to say, but Bertie's response was, and he couldn't say that to my face.
Yeah.
And it's just, it shows so much. And so I agree. It was such a great performance because you see so much depth. He really takes on this character. He really takes on his history and the past and the trauma and everything there. And
this is a very good. This is how you do it right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you will just see characters just put on an accent,
Right.
and it's very obvious that that's all they've done. They've just flipped a switch, and now they're speaking British.
Yeah.
Now they're speaking with an Irish accent.
Yeah.
Actually,
I would actually say that a good example of a bad example is in a lot of ways Gangs of New York with their accents. In that it feels forced. They feel like accents, that they have to be accents.
That was why that's probably the biggest reason that I have a problem with that movie is I can't buy Leonardo DiCaprio.
It seems too Irish. He doesn't do a Daniel Day-Lewis, because Daniel Day-Lewis's speech patterns in there are brilliant.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I watched DiCaprio, and I'm watching an actor putting on an accent. I watched Daniel Day-Lewis in that movie, and I'm watching a complete personality change. I'm not watching the actor. I'm looking at this very...
This is a man who ran New York at the turn of the century. Yeah. And that comes across in his famous role.
Can you go...
Wow, that's even harder.
Can you summarize that?
Yeah.
Holy
I want you
moly.
to pick a movie... You're gonna make a historical biopic, and who would you have star in it?
And about whom?
Yeah, like we
That's easy, actually.
Anybody to play.
Yeah, and anybody to play him. What would you do? Yeah. Who would that be? Nate, now with show number 2.
Oh wait, we should turn on some lights or something. Lights. Hurry up.
Thank you. Normally we spend all of our time just sulking around in the dark corners of this apartment.
Well, that's really the optimal lighting that we need for cuddling.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, I like cuddling, I just don't
want to see you when I'm doing it.
That's, I mean, yeah, you know, admittedly, having to look another person or person such as yourself while cuddling can have an adverse effect upon one's stomach.
It makes it a little more difficult, but I mean, if you close your eyes and turn the lights down low, have a little bit of music.
It's made it harder since I cut my hair.
Yeah. It used to be a lot more you can just kind of do this with, and
but that's
a little bit of this.
The way things go nowadays.
Yeah. We should turn these lights back up.